I think what I tell entrepreneurs so often is you will feel like everybody's already doing all the ideas. You will feel like, well, there's already so many people that are doing X, Y, Z, and why would I get it? Well, here's the first thing. When you start researching whatever it is that you're doing, you're going to see lots of that come up. So it's going to feel like the market's flooded. It's not. It's just because you've been researching it and it's now coming to you. But it is the idea of there is enough room out there for most businesses. I mean, there really is. And so I think it's just not letting Satan tell you you can't do it or that it's, already been done.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Zan Tyler podcast, where our goal is to help you thrive in your homeschool journey. Let me take just a minute to ask you to please subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen or watch, including YouTube. And if this podcast has been encouraging to you, please leave us a good review. Each review really helps us, and it allows other homeschooling families like you to find the podcast. Be sure also to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Well, thanks for joining us for part 2 of my conversation with Dr. Cindy Briggs. If you missed part 1, make sure you go back and listen. Cindy is a college professor, business leader, and entrepreneur who left the formal classroom to become a homeschool mom. Her passion for learning, her dedication to her family, and her support of homeschooling organizations will inspire you. Stay tuned. I think you will really be encouraged.
When my family started our homeschooling journey, there were so many decisions to make, but one of our best decisions was choosing to use BJU Press Homeschool. I've never seen my kids so excited to get textbooks before. I'm amazed by how interesting and interactive the lessons are. My kids actually look forward to them. We use the online video lessons for all our courses, but I know some families choose to teach from the textbooks. What I love is that I can trust BJU Press to uphold our values. The Bible and biblical principles are woven throughout each subject. I'll admit, I was a bit nervous when I started homeschooling, but I've found a wonderful online community of other BJU Press homeschool families and consultants. The Homeschool Hub also makes my job easier. I can set up our schedules and rearrange them with just a few clicks. On the dashboard, I can see each of my kids' progress, and the assignments page shows me quickly what's ready for me to check or grade. I'm glad my son's biology assignments are automatically graded. BJU Press Homeschool has given us the tools and confidence to homeschool our children. For more information, do what I did and visit the BJU Press Homeschool website or talk with your local HomeWorks consultant.
I want to talk a little bit about your background as an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And how I know with my Southern accent, I draw out each one of those syllables.
That's okay. I love it.
Sort of drives some of my friends crazy. Sorry, you guys, if you're one of those people. Tell us how we can help develop that and see those things in our children, like you were talking about with the poop collecting business.
Yeah. Which is just so funny. I'm like, I told Jackson, I said, well, one day when they're talking your story, your like biography one day, it's going to be something like, well, he became a dog poop millionaire. I don't know. Like it's going to start somewhere. But I think it's two-sided. And I know I'm working on lots of resources right now on my website for homeschool families for both curriculum for their children to under entrepreneurship, because not everybody is going to go to college. Not everybody is that their route, and that's okay. And this is coming from a college professor.
Right.
It's okay if, you're more an entrepreneur and understanding what that looks like. And so I've been helping people just understand, like letting them dream those ideas. When a child says, I'm going to start a business that, I want to have that lemonade stand. That was one of the first articles I put out on my website, was understanding from your lemonade stand. If they want to do that, but not just doing it for them, not just handing them all of the stuff and saying here, but using that as the teachable moment. Okay, you want to have a lemonade stand. That's great. We need to get product. We need your lemonade. What's that going to look like? Do you need a loan? We actually had to loan Jackson the money for his high-end poop picker upper because, he wanted the nice one. So we lent him the money and we showed him like how that loan, now we put the money back into his account. He never really knew that, but it was like, he knew he had to pay us back every week $2 towards his loan. So teaching them the skills that this is, a possibility, that their dream, because if we think about all of the businesses in the world, they started as somebody's small dream that just developed.
Yes.
And I'm also trying to get the flip side of, there's a lot of homeschool moms now and dads that they want to homeschool. Their heart is to homeschool, but they know they need a little extra income. So I've been encouraging them in their entrepreneurial journey of, well, how can you make this work to fit around your homeschool and make it educational for everybody?
Oh, that is powerful, because we are seeing, especially now with inflation the way it is, and parents who are used to having a double income family, and now one of them is doing the majority of the homeschooling. We do need help in knowing creative ways to bring that second income stream in, that side gig, that pays. I just remember when the kids were little and we were living on one income, I wanted to do some things on the side that would pay for the soccer and the dance lessons and the camps I wanted to send them to, because they just weren't in the budget. And so, so that was a dream of mine that started small. I just didn't know that it would be in the field of homeschooling, after all those years. It was being a homeschool leader was like a negative income stream.
That's no kidding. It's true. So we have to find those ways to be creative. Yes, but I did a session on that when we were at the conference, and I'm finishing up a book on that, on how to be a homeschool mom and have a business, have that entrepreneurial side, because it's not as difficult as it sounds. It really isn't, if you just have somebody to kind of give you the steps and almost spark your ideas. Like I just got people to talk about when they were at the conference, like, well, what do you already do now? Because there are people who will pay you for those things. Like there are people who will pay you to pick up dog poop. They will, they don't want to do it. And so you just look at that kind of thing as to, are there creative ways that you can turn your time into a small business?
What is the name of the book, or when will the book be coming out? Maybe
it's an ebook, and it should be published today's beginning of April. It should be the next week. So
great.
It is. Yeah, it is coming soon, and it is Entrepreneurial Homeschool Mom is what it is. And then I felt bad after I did it, but I'd already written it because I know there are dads too, and so I said, I was like, I didn't want to say this, but it's typically more moms that are in this area. So I said my next one would have dads included in it. So, but it will be on my website probably in the next week.
Okay. And tell us what your website is so people can find that when it comes out.
It is cindybriggsphd.com.
Okay, great.
Pretty easy.
So, and probably by the time this podcast is published, it will be on your website. Yes.
It should be up there and published. Yes. And I try to have lots of free blog resources and just things to, again, get that creative juices going. And like I said, I'm about halfway through some curriculum that people can use. And that's probably going to be more towards the end of the summer. But as a homeschool mom, I have to fit it in when I
yes,
when I do
that's
all the writing.
So this is curriculum for entrepreneurial.
Yes, that you can you can bring into your homeschool or bring into your co-op. I've had lots of co-ops ask me if I would come speak at their co-op, and I thought, well, the next best thing is to have videos and things that they could use in their co-op.
Yes, that's great. That is great.
But it's fun to watch that happen.
Yeah, that's very exciting. So how do you find the time to work and also homeschool?
Well, and that was one of my other sessions that I gave when we were at the conference, is because yes, you do have to be creative with your time. And I tend to be an over planner. I'm a big planner. And I told people that there's two things I always have with me. And it's funny, they're sitting right here on my desk, but I always have a notebook with my to-do list that is all together. I don't separate work and home because I'm one person. And so it's
Right. It's
all
all
right there.
together. That's
It's
right.
all together. And I told friends at the conference, I said, if you have a big to-do list and you put all your things down and you keep it out like on the counter so your family sees, they know they can sweep the kitchen floor. They know that they can get stuff out for dinner. And so kind of getting them on board with it and making sure that you have help like in your family. Also, I like I said, I created as part of homeschooling. So sometimes like if I have a business call, like right now I knew I had this business call, Jackson's out working on his business information. So he's using his time right now. He's reading some articles, doing some things for his businesses that he's got going. And so, yeah, just make it part of like what you do every day. And then find those times that you block out some time. Give your kids, again, some independence.
A good friend of mine, Mary Jo Tate, and I'm saying this because people need to realize there are different phases and stages in
Oh,
life.
yes.
Like you have an older child.
Right. He's 11. Yes.
Caleb has 5 littles. And
Yes.
so the things you can do with one older child versus many littles are very different. But it doesn't mean that you can't not dream. I mean, you
Right.
still keep up with those dreams and you ask the Lord, you keep a journal, I think, and then you
Yes.
just see the way he helps you implement them.
And you're not in competition with anyone. So if your dream is to, create something and it takes you a year because you get to work on it 30 minutes a night when the kids go to bed, you're not in competition with anyone else. Your dream will come when God needs it to come. And
That
it will
that is
happen.
a great way to put it. Yes. I remember I've got a really close friend, Mary Jo, who had 4 little boys and her husband left. And so
Mhm.
she still wanted to homeschool and raise her 4 boys, and some of them were very little when this happened. And I had a professor who had taught her how to develop an editorial business, and she would sometimes have to have a babysitter in the afternoons. Working was not an option for her.
Right.
It was
You
she
have to do
worked
it.
or they didn't eat. And
Right.
she also found help with her dad and with her church. And
Yes.
so there are all kinds of ways, if you find yourself in really dire straits like that, or you're just a mom with a lot of, as the strength finders say, you're an ideation person.
Yes.
You have so many ideas, you don't know what to do with them. That doesn't mean you can't do them. You may do them in smaller steps.
Right. And find again, I have a friend who the same way she has a special needs child and so has to deal a lot with him at home. He doesn't go to traditional school either. And so she started an online exercise community where every morning at 5:30 she has a membership where people pay her and she does online exercise classes so people don't have to get out to a gym or, if you have littles. So I think it's just that idea of, like I said, find things that you're already loving and good at and just find a way. It's like, okay, can I monetize this in some way? There are so many people in our homeschool world that live on farms and we're not blessed to live on a farm, although we would love to. So I love paying people for their canning and their vegetables and things like that. And
Their eggs.
oh yeah, we get eggs every week.
Yes,
Yes, from a
yes.
local homeschool mom. Yeah.
It really is amazing. I can remember I was a young mom. We had just moved to Andover, Massachusetts. And so my boys were 3 and 1. And I kept a little boy who was 2 during the week, just 3 days a week. This mother just sort of happened into my life and needed childcare. And so I had these 1, 2, and 3-year-old little boys, which was amazing. But the thing that amazed me most, this is where I first learned about the creativity of moms. There was a mother in this little community, not so little, but Andover's not a big town. She had 9 children. I'd never been around people with big families before. And during nap time and at bedtime, after bedtime, she would sew for people. Evidently, she was a professional
Oh,
seamstress and she would sew. And that was an outlet for her. Now, that would be stressful for me because I
oh,
am
me
not a
too.
seam, but that is just what she did. And it contributed greatly to the financial success of the family.
Right,
And it was what she loved. And
right.
so I think it's just like you were talking about with our kids. You find what you love or you're called to, and
Yeah.
you can do it incrementally. It doesn't have to be a big business overnight.
No, and that's what I tell people. If you decide that you're going to do something like this, it might be that you're going to sew something for people or you're going to, package. I mean, there's people who are blessed with being able to make great parties. And I just look at all of these cool businesses that have kind of popped up over people who just have almost needed to do it and have found kind of, a different way that you thought, well, that's cool. And then to not feel like, I think what I tell entrepreneurs so often is you will feel like everybody's already doing all the ideas. You will feel like, well, there's already so many people that are
Yes.
doing X,
Yes.
Y, Z. And
Hmm.
why would I get it? Well, here's the first thing. When you start researching whatever it is that you're doing, you're going to see lots of that come up. So it's going to feel like the market's flooded. It's not. It's just because you've been researching it and it's now coming to you. But it is the idea of there is enough room out there for most businesses. I mean, there really is. And so I think it's just not letting Satan tell you you can't do it or that it's, already been done.
Right. That is just so interesting, Cindy. So, if you had one piece of advice to give homeschool moms out there that are like you were,
Yeah,
they're new to homeschooling, what would you tell them?
I think to just have fun and enjoy it. I'm on so many of the Facebook groups where I see people just getting very stressed. Am I using the right curriculum? Am I doing enough hours during the day? That I think we got to step back and find our joy in just the fact that we get to be with our children and get to see this. And there's days, I mean, please, there are days I'm like, what am I doing? I am not doing this well. It's driving me crazy. But overall, I remember just the joy and the blessing of it. And I think to just stop and remember that you are going to give your kids what they need when they need it. If they don't have that math problem, memorized this year, maybe they'll get it next year. It's okay. And so just to find your joy in these little minds.
Sorry, now I'm going to ask you to put on a different hat. Put
Yes.
on your college professor hat, and you're looking now at kids in college, some who are be very successful and some who won't. What advice, and it's probably the same thing, but you have a perspective that some of us don't have, and it's what kids look like when they're 19 and 20 years old as opposed to 3 and 4, 8 or 9. Is there any common threads or denominators you saw in the kids who were handling their lives well, or is that too general a question?
No, I think again, having that encouragement of things and not I know when I went to college, my parents, I mean, gosh love them, they were very it was just very black and white. Like you did these curriculums, these things, and it wasn't, you didn't go for art or you didn't go for those things. And I think
Mhm.
listening to your children and not forcing them into what you perceive as society's box of, you have to get this degree or you have to get this. I think letting them do that. And honestly, this college age children, and I know it sounds terrible. If college is for your child, that's great. And they're going to do great, but not just assuming that their success is only going to be based on them going to college. I think for a lot
Absolutely.
of people,
Yes.
that is hard because growing up, and you probably felt the same way, that was the measure of success. Like you
Mhm,
went to
mhm.
college, you graduated from college, whether you ever used your degree or not, you had that. And I think it's changed now. I think our world has changed.
I think one evidence of that is just the gap year.
Yeah.
The gap year idea that has become so popular between high school and career, or high school and college, or high school and the military.
Yes.
Do you have any thoughts on that,
I
and how
do.
people can use that in a meaningful way?
I do think it's a great idea. And I think letting them use that as like that dream way. Okay, if you want to go be an actor, and and can we go try that in New York or LA for a year? Or, you want to learn how to do this, you want to learn Spanish, can you go to a country and do that? Because I think back now, and I think we're asking our young people at 18 to decide their life. I mean, it's like when they go to college, there are even less and less colleges that are sort of doing that liberal arts where you learn lots of different things. They're wanting you at 18 to decide your whole future, and you start your classes right then. I don't know about you, but 18 was really hard for me to decide. I couldn't have pictured where my life is now.
Right. Absolutely.
And so let them have that year. And I have had parents that say, well, but I'm worried if I let them do that, they won't go back to college, or they won't make it happen. And I'm like, well, what's the worst case scenario there? Like, what if they don't go then? What if they go 5 years from now? Some of the best college students I had were returning working adults that could actually, apply what they were
right.
learning.
That's right. That's right. I think that's really true.
Yeah, and please hear me that I'm not saying college is bad, like, or that, that all idea. I don't ever want that to be the case, because it is definitely needed in a lot of different careers, and there are kids that it's the perfect path for. However, just I think to be more open-minded in that homeschool arena, that it doesn't have to just be that path.
Yes, that's right. And I think that is really good advice, because that takes the pressure off of moms.
Yes.
To feel like they've got to determine ahead of time. I mean, it's just a lot of you feel so much pressure as a homeschooling
Oh,
mom.
you do. And I think you feel like, oh my gosh, my child didn't get into an Ivy League college as a homeschooler, that I did something wrong. Well, no, we've done the very best. We love our children more than anyone else loves our children. We've done the best for them.
That's exactly right. Well, Cindy, thank you so much for
Oh,
being with me today.
it's so
I
fun.
just have enjoyed getting to know you. I cannot wait to read your book. Tell us the name of the book one more time.
It's the Entrepreneurial Homeschool Mom: How to Start Your Business While Homeschooling.
Okay. And give us your website one more time.
Is cindybriggsphd.com.
Well, Cindy, it has been great to have you with
Thank
us
you so
today.
much.
I always learn something new, and I know the moms and dads today listening did as well. So I want to thank all of you for being with us today. I want to thank our sponsor, BJU Press Homeschool, for sponsoring the podcast. You can find me at zantyler.com or on social media. So thank you for being with us. May God continue to bless your family and your children and your guidance for them. Until next time, bye.